So, today I would like you to remember being 12 years old. You're in middle school, you're at a party with all your friends, right? And all of a sudden your best friend comes up to you and hands you a drink. What are you going to do? You're 12 years old. You're going to drink it, right? Peer pressure's around you. Well, today I would like to talk about teenage drinking, the cause and effects, and today I will present some solutions, because it's kind of a growing problem. Now, the number one cause of teenage drinking is peer pressure. A survey conducted by UCLA stated that 80% of teenagers drink to fit in and impress their peers. The other 20% drink to subdue their problems. Now let's talk about the effects. The most serious effect of teenage drinking is that it leads to addiction. The National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism reports that teens who start drinking before age 15 are 4 times more likely to develop an addiction than those who start drinking at 21. The second effect is, of course, drinking and driving. The National Institute of Alcohol Abuse states that 40% of all alcohol-related fatalities involve teenagers behind the wheel. So my junior year in high school, I was going to a rival game, Center versus Cal High, and when you're going into Cal High, there's like this gate, and here's this street. It's like a main street. I think it's Mills. I'm not sure, but it's like a main street. And my friend Ariana, I was going with her and her sister, and we were going to the game. And her sister, we were getting ready, and I went with her sister earlier. So me and her walked, and Ariana's like, "Oh, I'll meet you guys later. I'll see you guys there, right?" We're at the game. We didn't see her the whole game. We're like, "Where is she?" Right? We're like, "Oh," we started calling her, no answer. And we come out of the stadium and we see tons of police cars, ambulances, and she was hit by a drunk driver. She was dragged 25 feet before he stopped. And it ended up being a 16-year-old, and he didn't know what to do. He didn't even think that he hit her, and he ended up being drunk. So it was like, she was in the hospital for 3 months. She was in a coma. She's doing speech still. She did graduate, but she graduated 2 years later. And she had to do a remission program kind of thing. So, doing the speech, I actually decided to talk to my brothers and sisters about it, because they're like going to go into high school and stuff. Another effect of alcohol is the health risks involved with drinking at a young age. According to Michael's House, which is a rehabilitation center for young men trying to kick the drinking habit, states that drinking can cause stomach ulcers, liver problems, heart failure, malnutrition, and impairment of the frontal lobe, which the frontal lobe is in charge of judgment. My last effect is binge drinking, which is a pattern of drinking that brings a person's blood alcohol level to 0.08 grams. And this typically happens when boys consume 5 or more drinks and girls consume 4 or more within an hour. According to the CDC, 65% of binge drinkers are teenagers. Now let's talk about the legal matters you may face if caught drinking underage. In fact, all 50 states have drinking laws making it illegal for anyone under age 21 to purchase, possess, or consume alcohol. If caught, the minor will face a Class C misdemeanor for possession of alcohol. This includes fines, community service, having to attend alcohol awareness meetings, and suspension of your ID or driver's license. Most states, including California, have a zero-tolerance law. This means even though adults older than 21 can drink, they are not allowed to drive intoxicated. If a minor is present with the adult who is intoxicated, they will face fines and jail time as well. Another law I found interesting is in many states, if a minor uses a fake ID or uses someone else's ID to purchase alcohol, the owner of the ID will face jail time and $2,000 worth of fines. My last fact is if an adult over age 21 supplies a minor with alcohol, it will be an automatic misdemeanor and $2,000 fine. So who here is 21? Do you guys have younger siblings? You guys should watch your IDs. Make sure they don't take them. My last main point is prevention. First of all, the easiest thing you can do is talk to the young teens in your life about the effects of alcohol. Studies shown by the CDC, which is the Center Disease Control Center, states that parents who talk to their teens about alcohol and drug abuse are 45% less likely to use those substances. So when I did talk to my brother and my cousin, because they're going to high school in the fall, and they're like 14, they're like, "Why are you talking about this? This stuff doesn't happen." And I'm like, "Don't lie to me. I've gone to pick you guys up from parties." And like I see your friends stumbling out and stuff, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't happen. I'm like, you guys are liars. So then they were like, you know what, I thank you and appreciate you for taking the time to tell me this, because it's actually proven that 45% of them are less likely to drink. There are also organizations that go around to schools to help prevent underage drinking. So you guys think about the commercials that say like rise above the influence and stuff? Well, like they actually do go to middle schools, because like my cousin was telling me they actually did go to their school and they try to advocate the message of not drinking alcohol at a young age. Lastly, we can also help by setting a good example. In conclusion, today I would like to everyone talk to their brothers and sisters to think about it, because it's an ongoing problem that's causing more teens to die because of alcohol abuse and the effects of it, because drinking and driving too. Because who knows, you might actually end up saving them from hurting themselves. Thanks.
So Tony, what did you think?
I thought it was well thought out. It's just that she kept on reading off her cards, and every time she read off her cards, she seemed to go a little bit faster. I thought it was well organized. She cited her sources for most of the statistics, and I thought that was good.
Yeah, the visualization at the beginning is pretty good. We know what the general subject is. I like the idea of focusing on particularly younger groups and the problems that they face. I think that gives your speech a little bit more uniqueness to it. You do have a tendency to rush some things that you're going through, and it's especially noticeable in the transitions, because you just get to the next point, boom, you're at the next point. You need a little bit of an internal summary. You need to pause for a second. You need to give us a chance to catch up, because it just sounds like it's coming out staccato, like it's like machine gun, like bum, 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 and it really doesn't sound like a speech as a consequence. It sounds like you're just reading information, and that's not the way you want it to come across. I think you do pretty effectively when you're talking about talking to your little brother and cousin about what's going on, and you relate it in a more personal way and put it in that context. I think that you relate pretty well to the audience, but you're not always doing those kinds of things. I did think that you did a good job citing some information that's important about the impact on kids' brains or the risk from drunk driving. The story that you told about your friend who got run over at the football game, for instance, is a good example, but the way the story's told, it's not really as smooth as it needs to be, and it needs to be integrated into the point that you're trying to make a little bit. And it's sort of like you're telling us the story with your friends at lunch instead of figuring out, here's a point that I'm trying to make, and I'm going to use this to illustrate that point. It's like, oh, we were going to the game, and we were doing this, and we're doing that, and we get a lot of background stuff. You can cut that down, get down. My friend didn't meet her sister and I at the game for a long period of time. In fact, she never showed up, and we were wondering what went out. When we went out after the game, there she was in the street. She'd been run over by a drunk driver, and she was in the hospital for 3 months. And get to that point, because that's the point you're trying to make. So it's just a matter of language and being a little more careful in your editing, I think, in making those things work.